Okay, ready? Okay. I am having a chat with New York City-based composer Akemi Naito. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. We're speaking
Yes.
about your 2019 debut CD with Ravello Records, and what a beautiful package this is. Also very interesting. It is a CD and DVD.
Yep.
We talked just a few minutes ago. That's kind of where I want to go because it seems to me as though where we as a whole planet are moving is visual,
Mhm.
visual, visual.
Yeah.
Okay, a CD and DVD. It's called Within My Soul, Music of Akemi Naito, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful. Just it's very interesting. Let me just run down some of the pieces here. The piece I want to speak about most importantly is titled Emily Bronte Through Life and Death, A Chainless Soul, composed in 2017. It's a poetic mono opera. Now that's the first time I've heard that expression. I love it. In one act, celebrating Bronte's 200th birthday in
Right.
2018, and you
Mhm.
use the amazing mezzo-soprano Jessica Bowers,
Mhm.
gorgeous voice. What a wonderful presence, as we will discuss, because when we discuss the DVD of this piece, there is a DVD of this performance in New York City, whatever, a couple of years ago. Jessica Bowers, mezzo, Marilyn Nankin, pianist, and wow, just spot on, fabulous. And
Oh,
then this art installation that we'll discuss by Toshihiro Sakuma. I hope I'm pronouncing properly. Um,
yes.
but also now kind of switching a little bit, so everybody kind of get this idea. Two disc set. One is a CD, the other is a DVD. The
Mm.
DVD is the live performance of this poetic mono opera, Emily Bronte, that we're going to discuss. Then I'm taking you now back to the CD, everybody that hasn't fallen asleep yet. Also on the CD, a wonderful span of works to give folks a good idea of your compositional expense. This next piece is entitled The Woman in the Dunes
Mm.
for solo percussionist from
Yes.
2012. Absolutely fabulous. We'll talk
Ah,
about the colors. Inspired, and you'll have to tell me, it's inspired by
ah,
a Kobo Abe
mhm.
novel.
Yeah.
And in this case, Gregory Beyer is the percussionist.
Yeah.
Superb, superb.
It's really amazing
And
percussion. Yeah.
then on the CD also, so the CD is a wonderful musical sampling, and then as I said, the DVD is the treat, is the video of one of
Yeah.
your pieces on this set. Uh, the last piece, five Waka poems by I guess an 11th century or an ancient
Mm.
Japanese monk, composed your piece, your take on these composed in 2011, and with the University of Illinois Chamber Singers yet already.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful SATB piece with fabulous marimba. And
Mm.
I love vocal and marimba. I love that combination of a choir and marimba. It creates magic with
Mm.
William Morsch marimba. So I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Okay, well
Yeah.
let's get down to it. I always do this little preamble thing. We've maybe given a little interview. Let me overview is what I meant. Let me get to your bio just a little bit. Let me find you up here.
Yeah.
We're talking about New York City-based composer, born in Tokyo.
Yep.
Began study at about the age 5, and you went to and then I guess later were a member of the faculty at Toho Gakuen School. I hope I'm close.
Yes. Yes.
So
Right.
you have faculty teaching experience from 1980 to 91, and then received, what was it, an exchange or something to come to New York City in
Yes.
1991.
Mm.
What was that about? How'd you go about getting that grant, getting that exchange, and
Because I applied because I wanted to being out of Japan at that time because I have no experience to study abroad, and I was curious to being outside of Japan. That's why I applied
that sounds like all
the
of my British
project.
friends. Something about living on an island. You kind of want to get off the island and see what's going on.
Mhm.
Uh, and so from 1991, tell me how this has happened. What you were taken under the wing of somehow?
Yeah,
How'd you
so
create a career?
this was my first trip to USA. So I just came to New York City as my first trip, and I really fit to the city. And since then, I thought, oh, this might be starting point to my kind of second life.
Yeah.
So since then, yeah. Although I do back and forth between Japan and the US,
And did
but
you come here to New York City to study with anyone in particular, or did you go shopping, or did you even need to study after all you were teaching for so many years? You know what I mean? Was there
yeah,
anybody, any guiding light that, or did you just come and say, okay, I'm going to conquer the city?
yeah, I wanted to see the music scene in New York.
Sure.
And I'm interested in sort of kind of electroacoustic music. And I little bit learned uh, about that point. But with them, I always continue my own composition besides. So that's I'm continuously doing until today.
Exactly. So, well, more power to you, I must say. Really, it's a very hard career. If you are not on a faculty, a college faculty or something, as you very well know, it can be difficult. So more power to you. I know why, by the way, at least from this CD. Very, very accessible, gorgeous, beautiful, very heartfelt music, beautiful and very lyric. We're going to discuss this CD, DVD package, as I said, in just a bit. But how did this project evolve in your mind? Was it a coincidence, a happenstance? Suddenly there was this live performance, and you thought, yeah, we'll put it on DVD. What?
I wanted to make my album for quite several years, but I didn't get clear concept until I started to compose Bronte uh, mono opera because I realized that maybe with Bronte opera, because I already composed with poems of Saigon Monk and Woman in the Dunes for percussion solo piece. Adding Bronte, I got the idea that I can make album which concept is inspired by the literature. So that's why that's the basement of this CD project.
Yeah, it is all based on literature, is it not?
Yeah,
The CD is all based on literature, poetry, or Obe's novel, for example.
yeah, because that was a concept.
Yeah, wonderful. And then, it's always a nightmare to put these together and get them funded and so on. Did it take a little time? When did the seed get planted? 2017, 2016? You see what I mean? To reach this point where you put out this CD
Yeah,
in 2019.
it took quite long because the oldest recording is Woman in a Dune, which I made with Greg Bayer 2014. So I know I released this recording, but with which pieces?
That's always the question. It's very
Mhm.
difficult to decide,
Yeah.
especially in this
So
diverse an album. It's so diverse. Choral music,
yeah,
percussion piece, of wonderful
mm,
percussion, and lengthy. I think it's about eight. What is it? Maybe 18 minutes. I've kind of forgotten, but it's a hefty percussion piece.
yeah, over 80 minutes,
And then
80 minutes,
yeah,
30 seconds.
and the opera's
That's
about
great.
35, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a big project. What exactly are waka poems in the Japanese
Waka
tradition?
is Japanese oldest uh, poetic form. So it was uh, exactly number of words, which is 57577, consisted by 31 characters. Yeah, it's very
Very
strict.
disciplined. Very, very disciplined. Yeah,
Haiku is shorter version, only 575.
I think haiku is a little less, isn't it? In terms of
Yeah,
word count.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to run
So
down. We might as well let's just start right there and work our way back. That sounds like a good idea. We've been talking about the five waka poems by, again, I hope I'm pronouncing Aio. Can you help me on the pronunciation of this ancient writer? His name?
Saigyo, Saigyo,
Saiyo. Uh,
yeah,
and in this case, these five you've put together for mixed chorus, and we mentioned the University. What is it? Of Illinois. I got to run up to the top here. Um,
yeah,
uh, it's a
Champagne, right?
Champaign, University
Yeah,
of Illinois
yeah.
Chamber Singers.
Mm.
Let me give the conductor credit too, if I can find him again. Andrew McGill,
McGill,
conductor,
yeah,
who has quite a
mm,
career
yeah.
actually, and then William Morse, as I may have mentioned, on marimba. What? How do you? So it's all in one lovely piece, beautifully connected. These five
Yeah,
pieces.
it was most recent recording because we did in this past February this year.
Ah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, the titles are, I mean, I use just the first words of each poem, but Awakening, and just to give people an idea, Awakening in Mind, Here Again, Deep Within the Mountains, Colored by Cherry Blossoms, and Mount
Hmm.
Hiroshima. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. So it's this lovely narrative, beautiful assemblage of words and narrative for, again, mixed choir and marimba. How did you come upon that kind of coloration where you decided this was nice, marimba and SATB?
This is originally uh,
Pay no attention,
pro-
it's a bill collector. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Originally project by marimbist Makoto Nakura,
Hmm.
and he asked me to write poems by Saigyo Monk, and I was very delighted to work with these poems.
Because you've known them since you
Yes,
were a
and
youth, sort of thing. Are they that traditional in Japanese tradition?
yeah, it was a huge influence still nowadays,
Hmm.
his poems.
Anyway,
So, yeah, but
and
that project is, yeah, three composers together, and each composer present each composition. So
yeah,
three composition together as forest trilogy.
I see.
So
Uh-huh,
this
yes, of
time
course.
I wanted to separate from that and just my piece to be recording to place onto this album.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I understand completely. So that we touched on five waka poems, and now, because we're working up to the big one that I do want to spend some time on, The Woman in the Dunes for solo percussionist, 2012, year of composition, beautifully, just beautifully performed. But what got you, as a composer, what attracted you to these sounds, these wonderful percussion sounds, all this assemblage of color?
Yeah, I wanted to compose huge percussion set composition. And originally, Woman in the Dune, I composed for collaboration work, uh, a kind of theater piece with
Ah,
actress and video artist and percussionist. Uh, it was a Greg Bayer.
yeah.
Bayer. And after we kind of work in progress kind of project we did, then I thought I need to present as purely a concert version piece. So that's why I composed percussion solo piece.
Let me see if I followed you. So, The Woman in the Dunes was also a kind of theater piece in its original
Yeah,
intention? Aha,
yeah,
you're
that was
that's
idea
fascinating.
at
Uh,
first.
that's fascinating, and it works, of course, fabulously also as just a pure performance piece, fabulously.
Mhm.
But I'm so intrigued. I'm glad we're going backwards in a way in terms of the order of the program because we're getting closer now to this amazing Bronte piece and the idea that you have have also a DVD of a performance, and we'll get to some questions. Let's see, what do I write here? I just find it very evocative, long-lasting, beautiful effects. I love tuned percussion instruments, and you have a whole wonderful section of color. They're wonderful percussion sounds. And nothing's large or noisy. There's nothing dramatic. It's just this fascinating whatever collage of colors. It has sort of Indo-Eastern something to it. Am I off there? Or is that just a moment? Kind of, the rhythms and the pulses and even the modality seems a little Indo-Eastern, if that even makes any sense.
Really? Actually, the percussion set evokes the house of the woman in the dunes. So that was quite fascinating to seeing the percussion set. Yeah, because it's a
Fantastic.
huge set. I
Ah,
used 20 trichromatic gongs and
wow.
3 tam-tams and
Did you use
bongo.
gamelan?
Hmm?
Did you use gamelan? Did I hear gamelan in there anywhere?
No, gongs. Gong,
Gongs, but no
gong, high
gamelans.
gongs.
Okay.
No, and
Uh-huh.
tam-tams and
Well, that's one of those pieces that gets performed every 300 years because there are too many parts. It's hard.
so. In fact, it's not easy for the percussionist to
Yeah.
gathering the all instruments.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's why he's a Fulbright scholar. They're very good at
Uh-huh.
gathering things. Forgive me, forgive me. That was just for fun. But anyway, it's just so fun to have a CD of your music and have it so varied. So we've discussed the SATB with marimba piece. You must have a little secret something about percussion then, huh? How about some of your other compositions? Do you like percussion?
Oh yes,
Good.
I like percussion very much.
I do too, by the way. When I
Mm.
see a percussionist that really is playing, even a Beethoven symphony,
Hmm.
I really appreciate a really good percussionist or timpanist in that particular case. And then we've just finished discussing The Woman in the Dunes from 2012 for solo percussion. You've given away a tiny secret that it too, at one point in one of its configurations, was a sort of theater performance piece, if I understand you correctly. Do you intend to ever perform it again in that kind of same fashion as a theater piece? Or is that the
Mm,
right word, even?
yeah, if we have a chance, maybe. Yeah.
That sounds like Bach. Well, is that violinist coming through town? Okay, let's use him. If you have a chance, if somebody's, if, the personnel are around, and it's tough to put together a piece
Mm,
that
mm,
is a performance piece. It doesn't just happen. It's
yeah. Especially that collaboration included kind of no performance, no theater performance. So it was literally tricky part.
mm,
Yeah. Unless it was not professional, actual no actor. It was a little tough
yeah, I
for the
understand.
actress.
I
Yeah, yeah.
understand. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the juicy one. Uh, uh, we've talked about the Woman of the Dunes. Okay, I'm going to read the title again. Emily Bronte,
Oh.
Through Life and Death, A
Hmm.
Chainless Soul from 2017. First of all, okay, Emily Bronte, I got that. Through Life and Death, okay, I can see Wuthering Heights. Have I got the right writer?
Yeah.
Wuthering Heights and so on. A Chainless Soul.
I
Explain the
took the
title.
phrase from her poem,
Oh,
and
it's
I decided to take
that.
it as title.
Okay,
Yeah,
that justifies it
very
because
symbolic, very
because it's
symbolic.
mystery. It's very mysterious.
Yeah, it's very expression
Yeah.
of express her life or her attitude,
You
the
know,
poems.
you
Yeah,
know exactly. All of a sudden, a chainless soul
yeah,
suddenly made sense to me. She was a free spirit in that age, even as a woman and writer. Yeah, am I
yeah.
right?
But she was a person full of free spirit in that era.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, Now let's just have a look at it. Let me just read. I'm going to go up and read the scenes, just
Hmm.
so people kind of have an idea. Now the piece again is a mono opera, as in a small little chamber piece for mezzo soprano,
Yeah.
piano, and then
Yes.
this wonderful art installation by Toshihiro
Mhm.
Sakuma. Sorry, um, By the way, would that, as a composer, does that stay as a work of art? In other words, every time it's staged, it needs to be staged with that art installation, or what?
Yeah,
How does
yeah.
that work? So that's the
Hmm.
complete piece. If it's going to be performed as a stage piece, you
Yes,
do it with
of
the.
course, of course.
Wanted to make sure. I just what didn't know. You know whether that changed or anything at all. How did you get to know Tashihiro? Did you know him
We
well?
have
Or
been
is it a
for
is it a man or a
friends.
woman? Sorry.
Man,
Sorry. How did you
he's
get to know?
fan. Yeah,
So you knew
because I've
him.
known his works for a long time, and he also uh, kindly always come to my concert to hear my piece.
Nice.
And so we know works each other very well.
Then who suggested, hey, why
Right.
don't we try
Yeah.
something?
Mhm.
Who suggested, hey, let's do something together?
Um, because I wanted this Bronte piece as a collaboration for the stage. So I thought, oh, he is a person I should ask because his concept of his works is perfectly fit to this Bronte poetry because he's a specialist for expression of spirit or a soul.
Aha. Aha.
So that's why I brought this project to him. So first things I asked him to, uh, what I asked him was read the poet, read the poetry first, and if he accepted, please join the
That's perfect.
this project. That's I asked him.
Yeah. It's the only way. If he
And
hated the poems,
yes,
why bother?
yeah. So he kindly agreed to join this project.
Wonderful. And let me read once again the scenes, if you will. Prologue. I'm
Mhm.
happiest when most away. Also,
Yeah.
a mysterious use of words. I'm happiest when most away. Fabulous, just idea. Scene one, excerpt from Plead for Me. And this is a narration as well as
Yeah,
narrative as
I
well as song.
mixed. Yeah.
To connect scenes, I presume. This excerpt from Plead for Me is literally read by the mezzo. And then the scene one, part two is to imagination sung in this
Yeah.
case. So it's kind of a recitativo, almost kind of sort of into an aria in a way form. I
Mhm.
mean, does that make any sense? Then scene two, excerpt from My Comforter, which the mezzo recites more or less, and then scene two, the second part is anticipation. Scene three, the old Stoic. I loved that piece, that section, and then the last scene part of scene three, no coward soul is mine.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bronte, right, and what you said earlier, that she was a free spirit. No coward soul is mine, I'll
Yeah.
have you know. Okay. Um, let's see. So where do we begin? Let's just go to how did you how tough was it to organize poems into a piece of work that had a beginning, a middle, and end?
Yeah. When I decided to work with Bronte poetry, I already knew that I used these three gigantic, very well-known poems. They are To Imagination, Anticipation, and No Coward Soul is Mine. So I know I need these three poems, but to make for opera, I needed more poems. So I reread entire Bronte poetry and choose additional four poems and combined to seven poems
Did
as
you?
a one book. Yeah.
It is. And did you pull your hair out? Because first of all, you had to organize the poems into an arc that made sense, I presume. Then you had to write the music. Is that the case? Poetry first, then the music?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
I choose poetry first.
yeah, absolutely. I think so too.
Then,
Yeah.
although I choose poetry, however, I was a little uh, nervous if this poetry can fit to the music. That was my question.
Let's see, you chose the poems first. So you
Yeah.
were happy with the poems. Then you thought,
It's
are these going to be hard
enormous.
to make?
Yeah.
Are these going to be
But
hard to fit to sound?
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I thought these poems express who was Emily Bronte was. Who was Emily Bronte.
For
So
example, anticipation.
yeah,
Uh,
all poems I think. Yeah.
yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
With
even to imagination, I've got a little quote. So hopeless is the world without, the world within, I doubly prize. It almost
right.
sounds Dickinson, Emily Dickinson. Somehow that little line, I doubly prize that my own little private world because without, out there in the big world, it's too awful. I think. It's kind of it, and by the way, it's nicely placed in a wonderful mid-range for mezzo, which I
Thank
think
you.
is very, very expressive. I can really, and your mezzo again. I don't have her. I'll have to run up and fetch her name again. Fabulous, just stunning, and what a theatrical presence on the
Yeah.
video of this piece. She's
Hmm.
stunning.
Hmm.
Also, this device of a circle of lights
Hmm.
into which the singer steps to express certain things, and
Hmm.
then she steps out to help out of that circle, and the mood, as the mood changes and she moves to another idea. Can you give me kind of an overview of whether I'm anywhere close? I mean, the symbolism, of course, the infinite symbolism of that circle, but the stepping in and out, I thought it very dramatic and purposeful. As a collaboration, how'd you guys figure that one out?
Uh, Regarding stage direction, I just uh, created by myself. Just spontaneously, idea came up, and I just where the Jessica should be stand and with this poem, etc. So it was yeah, quite natural things to me.
And
With
so, is there anything? I guess what I'm trying to get at, just on kind of seeing, and especially seeing and hearing the piece. I guess what I'm trying to ask: is there a zone of psyche that is within the circle of light, and then there is a different psyche, or not, or a different idea outside of the circle? See what I mean? She seems to deliberately step in and out for
yeah,
various sections, for various scenes even.
yeah, yeah. I think its viewer can sense uh, from that circle, and sometimes maybe inside the circle express her home, and very simply outside of the circle maybe more.
Oh,
Or
that was
sometimes
good.
circle like planet on this earth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
In other words,
So
we've got multiple levels of symbolism. Clearly,
right.
the simple level, the
Yeah.
surface level is
Mm.
home and the outside. Uh, Stupidly, that didn't even occur to me. I was thinking in all kinds of Freudian and Jungian levels, but those are there also. I'm
Yeah.
sure certain
Mm. Yeah.
certain things are spoken within the circle about certain topics, and likewise, I don't want to belabor it, but let's see. I love the piano reading underneath. Not an easy score at all. It's quite busy, really, and also very beautiful, a very melodious
Thank you.
score.
But it's not a simple score
Yeah, that's kind of the
after piano.
intention.
Hmm.
It seems very, forgive me, very American.
Oh, really?
You know
uh,
what I mean? That sort of, I don't know, that sort of languid, you know what I mean? That sort of a languid American tonality. Somehow it just seemed very lovely in that. Since even though we're speaking about a British
uh-huh.
writer and so on, but I mean, in terms of the sounds I was hearing, apparently the U.S. has rubbed off just a tiny bit. How's that? Is that a good enough compromise? Did I get out of that one yet?
I wanted to piano part very quietly
Yeah.
because I haven't experienced uh, the piano part is so loud, especially when I attended the concert of piano score
Uh-huh.
of with presentation of opera,
Yeah.
and I often, oh, piano is so loud, and I wanted, if I write a piece for kind of theater piece, I wanted to write piano very quietly.
Especially in
So,
in that context, it would always need to be performed in a very intimate context, as it is on the video, for
um,
example. Uh,
mhm.
yeah, so if the piano is overpowering, it's not the point. So you deliberately wrote a mellow piano part, if you'll forgive my using that silly word. Uh, here's an, yeah, sorry, did you?
Yeah,
Well,
and Emily Bronte herself, she played piano very well,
you mentioned
according
that.
to the book.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
read that in the notes. I had no
so
idea.
it was quite motivated to me to write
Yeah.
with piano set. Yeah.
And also just you just gave me that image of what else? All alone on the moor. Thank God she had a piano.
Mhm.
To keep her life sane, if there was even a moor upon which she lived. Uh, I
Oh.
love some of these texts when those who were with thy own. Let me start again. When those who were thy own compeers, equal in
Mm,
fortunes and in years, have seen their
right.
morning melt in tears. She's really kind of no nonsense. There cast my anchor of desire deep in unknown eternity, nor ever
Mm,
let my spirit tire with looking for what is to be. Ah, visionary.
mhm,
This is a forward-looking human being,
mhm,
of course, and her novels, of course, and all that. Let's see, No Coward's Soul is mine. Um, just you made some superb choices. I especially liked, as I mentioned, the last two, The Old Stoic and No Coward's Soul is mine. Somehow they're a little different, are they or not? Somehow they I don't know, they're just a little different. I don't know quite even how to explain it, but they bring everything down to an end nicely. Speak about that if you can, if it makes any sense.
different means with another poems.
Well, those two, The Old Stoic and No Coward Soul is Mine, just seemed a little different. I mean, I can't quite. Didn't hear it a million times, but something about whether that might have been a deliberate change in color or in mood as you wound the piece down. Am I making any sense at all? It's perfectly okay if I don't make sense.
This towards the end of a piece, these two poetry was so important. It's kind of a highlight. So I planned that's that setting. Yeah.
That will do. That will give me my
Mhm.
answer. Hang on, I got to fix something here. Good. Okay. That will do. I think that answered my question in that there is always. This is what always amazes me about composers. There's nothing really unintended. There is intention and there is structure and there is success or failure in creating the structure so that an audience can perceive it. And that's I just felt that you were bringing me home somehow in those
Mhm.
last two, the old Stoic and No Coward Soul is Mine. What else? I think we've just about done it, but I guess I'm not sure. Here you are. That's not be how I want to kind of wind this down. Here you are. You have made a deliberate decision. I'm getting back to the video now. There is the
Mhm.
CD. I've never seen this before, and then, I hope it becomes more prevalent. And then there's the video of the one piece, the Bronte piece. And I guess what I've been trying to get at all this time is, would there ever be a point where you would decide that everything that you compose from here on out would have a visual context in some way? In other words, are we going to move from people sitting still and listening to musicians play music, which is fine, to something more multimedia? And is that okay or not okay with you? Speak.
Um, Nowadays, this visual part is, I think, it's quite uh, important, and often artists combine visual elements to their work, or sometimes people do everything by just one person. So,
And of course, we have to understand that quality is quality, garbage is garbage. So you and I, are speaking about a level of experience and expertise and so on that creates works of art that are at a high level. But I guess what we mentioned, or I spoke to it a little bit before we recorded. When I was younger, I was outraged. did the whole thing about, oh, you can't distract from the music of the Beethoven Symphony. How dare you have that video, whatever, of the War of 1812. I mean, all that stuff. And perhaps it was overdone when I was younger. But my point these days is that's what's so. People are visual, 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 visual. That's where it's going, and it's good.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
you certainly proved it. So let me just run down. We gotta wind it down here. Let me go up to the top, and I'm gonna kind of give us a quick overview. We're speaking about your debut with Ravello Records, 2019 debut CD DVD set, Within My Soul, music of Akemi Naito. Um, the big piece is Emily Bronte's Through Life and Death, A Chainless Soul, composed in 2017. That's my clock going off. This wonderful poetic mono opera, I must remember that, in one act, three scenes, seven sections. It's fabulous, and the beauty is in that same set, as I've said from the very beginning. Right over in the other column is another innocent-looking disc, and that is the DVD of Emily Bronte, Through Life and Death, A Chainless Soul. Lovely live performance, uh, beautifully performed, conceived, constructed, and all that. Then, boom, out of nowhere, we got the Woman in the Dunes for solo percussion. Amazing piece, fabulously put together. I did you ever play percussion? Probably not. So my hat's off to you.
Not really. When I was a kid, I
Oh, that
did.
didn't count. That was sticks
I
on
can't
shows.
count.
And then finally, beautifully ending with five waka poems by the ancient poet Saikyo. I hope I'm close. An ancient composed in 2011, and this with the University of Illinois Chamber Singers. So. I mean, all this is going to go up at performingartsreview.net. How to get the CD, DVD set, all that good stuff. But it's really you have created something very special, and maybe it's a harbinger, if that's the right word, of things to come. In other words, performances I think are going to become more and more archived as visual experiences.
Mm.
We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway,
So,
I think we've done it. Akemi, thank you so much for letting me come into your home in the evening. You're on the East Coast somewhere. Oh, you're in New York City, are you?
yeah, New York City.
Do you have a fireplace in New York City? That's
I
incredible.
do. My apartment is very old.
Fabulous. Do they let you do a fire?
No, not really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Of course, people have become less responsible, so it's understandable. But I saw the fireplace and I thought, ooh, yeah.
Yes, behind
Anyway,
me.
many, many thanks for giving me whatever. It's
Oh,
been
thank you
30,
very much.
35 minutes. Thanks. We'll see you there.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.